Like, these are people from different walks of life, different former political viewpoints, all coming together to sort of fight for like a common cause of America. And that's awesome.
It's great.
You know, when you look at the Democrat Party, it's the exact opposite.
Oh,
Like, you could be like 99% with them, but if you don't agree on, like, you know, I don't know, men playing in women's sports, like, you're out. You're ostracized. I saw it with people like, you know, when I realized I was one of the early guys in the men's and women's sports stuff, because I saw it. I have a daughter that's a great athlete. I'm like, this is nonsense. And it was like 2017 when I first started speaking. Wow. Before it was really a thing, but like it happened a couple times. I was like, this is BS. Like, this is insane. Like, and even then, which was like very leftist Twitter, like, people would respond to me and they're like, oh, I hate you so much, but you're right. And I was like, this is a losing issue. But like, that trans mafia had the ability to create this thing. Like, it was real, but no one actually cared, including people on the left. You know, and to see like people who are incredible fighters for, like, you know, gay rights. You know, Martina Navratilova, like, you know, great female tennis player. She was like doing the gay rights thing in the early 80s when it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
You know, when it was actually an effort, when you weren't like a hero just for like speaking your mind. It's a little different right now. Like, she was like one of the great female tennis players of all time, one of the great female athletes of all time. And she was like, yeah, men shouldn't be playing in women's sports. And they destroyed, like, it was like 30 years of like LBGT, like, activism was just out the window, and you're gone. You're just totally out. I'm like,
yeah, it's nuts.
It was nuts. And so I think, you know, again, exposing that was just a big part of all of this. And I think it was huge.
Yeah.
And so, like, we're actually that party that's like open to other ideas, open to, you know, diversity. They talk about diversity, but it's only in like, you know, skin color, you know, DEI. It's DEI, you know. It has nothing to do with diversity of thought. That's the only place where they want absolutely no diversity whatsoever.
Yeah. Cuban was driving me nuts on Twitter.
Dude, it's insane. And like, I'm like, it's almost like there has to be like a payoff there, because like no one can be that insane.
Because he's smart.
Yeah.
That was the weird part.
Like, you know, and by the way, like, he lived in a Trump building for years. Like, you know. Like,
oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's like watching that shift. It's almost like there's got to be some sort of like, I don't know.
Some Diddy file on
it. By the way, I'm not going to say that's the case, but it almost had to be something. Because, like, imagine, like, how few, like, you can't be that serious on some of these things.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, the campaigns were also so different. When you had Bobby going out there, you know, and talking for 45 minutes about health, no bullet points, no notes. And it's like, you have Cardi B or whoever it was, like, endorsing Kamala Harris. It's like, the prompter went out. Well, just tell us why you're here. Like, you're here because you believe this, right? It was like, okay, let me pull it up on my phone. I believe this because I'm like, and then you find out, like, they were all paid. She got millions of dollars. And like, then Oprah gets paid, what was it, $2 million?
And then she lied about it.
No, I wasn't paid directly. And you have to listen to the word choice very clearly. She wasn't paid directly. No. It went to Harpo Enterprises. Harpo is, you know, the anagram for Oprah. It's her production company.
Crazy.
So they're just willing to lie, and it's disgusting. And like, I did a funny book a couple of years ago with my father. I have a publishing company just because so many of the big publishing houses would never publish conservative writers. So it's like, I just said, hey, we'll start a business and do this. And so I published a book for my father called Letters to Trump. And it was all these people who basically became haters that, you know, from the 80s on, he'd say these like stack, you know, from, you know, Oprah, you know, literally Oprah wrote him a letter, you know, 15 years ago or whatever it was, saying like, one day, like, we should run for president.
Wow.
I'd be your VP. What a ticket that would be.
Crazy.
It's like, you don't hate my father. He used to hang out at Mar-a-Lago all the time. You talked about like the Mar-a-Lago like turkey burger or something like that on your show for years. We literally, my family, like, I was on it. We did the last show of Oprah ever when she was on network television.
Wow.
It was our family doing it. Like all of a sudden she hates Trump, but it's just narrative and money.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder when you see some of these people, like all the celebrities that were coming out for Trump and started to do it. Then the Diddy stuff breaks, and all of a sudden they were radio silent. And then magically they were endorsing Kamala Harris. I'm like, dude, there's something there, because there's never that much smoke without some fire, right? It's almost impossible.
The Eminem one hurt me.
By the way, okay, like, I grew up listening to it, so I'm like, how did, like, he become like such a bitch? Like, it's hard to believe. Like, you know, it's like, you know, like, and there's no way he actually believes this.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
That one shocked me, actually.
yeah, it's like, I don't care anymore, because it's like, I think we've shown sort of the celebrity endorsement doesn't actually mean anything, because, you know, again, when they're pushing something, when people are saying, I can't afford groceries, I can't afford gas, I don't really care what they have to say. I mean, we proved that. It didn't stop them from trying. But again, if like, I don't, when I give stump speeches for my father, I'm like, I don't get paid to do that.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to, I go do it for my father because I believe in these things. I think it's important. Like, when these people are like, oh yeah, I'll go do that for $5 million. I'm like, $5 million? Like, when Americans can't afford groceries, like, by the way, you shouldn't not just only listen to that person's advice and just ignore it entirely. You should never listen to their music again if they're just profiteering off of that while Americans are suffering, and then artificially, simultaneously trying to boost the candidate that was literally in charge that allowed those conditions to take place that created the inflation. I'm like, they're like, well, when Kamala Harris is in charge, I'm like, guys, like, she is in charge. She's the vice president of the United States. Like, she's the number 2 person in charge. By the way, she's probably or could have been the most powerful vice president in the history of America because Joe Biden's clearly not the guy doing it.
Yeah.
He's clearly not there. He's clearly absentee. Like, that seems like it would be a great opportunity for you to step in when you're like, we're going to do this on day one. I'm like, why not do it now? Like, why wouldn't you start it? If you have these great ideas and they're going to fix things, why don't you do them even today?
Yeah.
You maybe lame duck, but like, get something done that makes sense. Not just a pork bill like CR, funding all sorts of ridiculous things, pay raises for Congress. That's not CR. CR is like a push to later. That's permanent.
Yeah.
They get the raise. It's never coming back down. We saw all these things. We're not going to prosecute people in Congress who may have broken laws, people who may have, perjured themselves or manipulated witnesses. Like, don't we want to know that? Like, we can't even compel their testimony. We can't even ask them about it.
Crazy.
Right? When you look at the, Joe Biden pardoning pedophiles, right? Why would you pardon a Chinese national with like 47,000 images of infants
I saw
in
that.
sexually compromised positions? Why would you pardon a Chinese national? Unless, of course, China has something on you or Hunter or another Biden that was profiteering from China. Like, why would you go soft on pedophiles in like 8,000, whatever it was, pardons? Pedophiles, people who took advantage of cities financially to the tune of tens of billions of dollars just because they were Democrat donors. Like, these are not like, hey, I think this person was, unjustly criminally prosecuted. Like, this is just like clearly, some sort of pay-to-play scheme or a payback for something else or, a way to cover up something else because it's so fraudulently abusive to me. It's scary.
Pardon Hunter.
What's that?
He pardoned Hunter.
Yeah, well, and like, I knew that. By the way, I knew I was talking about that on my, my Rumble podcast for, like, of course he's going to pardon Hunter. Like, no, he's not. He's literally said he's not going to do it. I'm like, yeah, no, because it wouldn't be politically expedient for him to do it right now, but he's going to wait until it doesn't matter. He either wins and does it or he loses it and does it. Like, of course he was never going to do it. But watching the media be like, oh, no, he said they're just trying to take that shit off the table. Like, of course. And by the way, as a father, I kind of understand it. But like, the Biden DOJ did so much. When you actually talk about what Hunter really did, the way they let the statute of limitations expire on the real crimes, the foreign influence, is like the gun charge was kind of nonsense. It was real. If it was the Don Jr. gun charge, I'd be at Gitmo right now.
No.
But like, so it was a crime, but it's like in the grand scheme of the things that the Biden family was doing, the way they were profiteering. I mean, grandchildren getting benefits from, CCP controlled entities. Like, like we were actually like international business people. That's what we did before we got into politics.
Yeah.
We still do. But like, we had a track record of that. Like, they became international business people the day he assumed the vice presidency. Like, it's a little different.
Yeah.
And yet, no, it's still, I wrote about it in my book when I did Liberal Privilege. Like, it's just like one after, money laundering for Russian oligarchs. I'm like, I'm the guy that did 50 hours of congressional testimony for Russia. Like, Hunter's money laundering the wife of the mayor of Moscow, the money tied to human trafficking and sex trafficking rings. And everyone's like, well, no, it's a little different. I'm like, no. Like, that's a real connection. Like, you don't become the mayor of Moscow without Putin.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out a connection to me, to Putin. It's insanity. And yet I had to do 50 hours of congressional testimony for treason, a crime punishable by death. Hunter gets like a total pass and made millions on it. Like, we're living in bizarro world.
Madness.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode.